You're listening to Heroes in the Moment.
What's up, heroes? I'm Michael.
And I'm Nathan.
Today, Moon Knight episode 2.
Let's get!
So, another great episode, in my opinion. I thought it was great. I was thoroughly entertained.
Similar vibes, but completely different. And then most of this episode was, just information.
Oh, yeah.
Which is really dope because that's what we needed, right?
And I mean, it was entertaining. I mean, the first half of the episode again was like, okay, well, let up right, after, and I was like interested. Right in the middle was like, okay, getting some information, learning about stuff. And the end was great to me. I love the ending. But I do think episode 1 was just a tad better, in my opinion.
Too.
I think it's a little bit better. But Moon Knight episode 2, I still think so far it's having a great, I don't know what's the word, beginning to the series, because so far I like it, better than I did the first 2 episodes of Hawkeye, which the first 2 episodes of Hawkeye are pretty good anyway. But I like it better, and I like it better than the first 2 episodes of the majority of shows. So I thought it did really well so far, and I'm really invested in the storyline. That's what's really cool about that.
It's the same. The first episode did a really good job, kind of hooking you with the mystery behind it, right? It left you wanting more, and then the second episode filled in a lot of the gaps you needed. Right. So my guess for the next episode would be a lot more action. Right. From what we've seen.
I think the next episode will be completely from Mark's perspective. I think we
said that about this episode.
We did, but next episode for sure, because they definitely teased it. I was thinking this episode that they would go back and kind of show Mark's perspective, but I'm kind of glad they didn't do that, because that may have been revealed too much stuff. But now we're going to see some more Mark insight. And I don't think it'll be an origin story next episode, but I think in the coming weeks, like maybe episode 4,
we'll get that
origin.
We need it.
We do. I want to see what happens.
I could see it in episode 3, because we hit so much of Mark Spector's backstory in here, with his wife and a bunch of stuff. So, and all the references to Khonshu saving him. So,
yeah, we got those references, and they've been hitting at it super hard. So we just got to see it, and I think we will eventually. Maybe episode 3, like you said, or maybe even episode 4. I don't think they'll go past episode 4 with an origin. I feel like that'd be too late.
That'd be way too late, because it's only 6 episodes. It has to be this one or 4.
It has to be this one or 4. So hopefully we'll get that. I'm super excited, and I loved. In this episode specifically, again, shout out Oscar Isaac, because the acting performance in episode 2 was even better than episode 1, I think. So it was incredible.
Dude, it's crazy.
He did such a
lot more
good
interactions
job.
with himself. There's just a greater variety of emotions he got to portray.
My only con with that was when he was the running scene, when he was kind of running from Khonshu. He was smiling. It looks like he was smiling the whole time when he was running and laughing.
I think he was just
screaming.
I think he was just terrified out of his mind. I don't know.
Right. I feel like they made it a little bit too comedic in that part. With him but
see, I think other parts are a little too comedic. The whole
there's some parts that are too comedic.
When he first puts on the suit, Mr. Grant, I thought that was really funny, but kind of comedic for the fact they had a jackal coming.
Which I've enjoyed it. Which, I mean, again, this does play on the dark factor too, though. It's got that Marvel comedy, but at the same time, it's also got the kind of DC darkness.
Bro, listen, I was very surprised when he impaled the jackal. I was expecting. I was no, there's no blood. He just disappears.
Right.
But homie catches him in midair, throws him down on a spike.
Yeah,
dude, I went crazy. That was so cool.
That was one of the best scenes for sure. For sure. The CGI is a little bit off on the show, we'll say.
Oh, we'll say that's probably the biggest con so far.
Oh, yeah.
But the CGI, yes, it's not as good as the others, but in my opinion, it's not that bad.
No, it's not.
I generally don't have a problem with it.
No, I'm cool. I mean, if it's got a good story and the CGI is not
I would rather have the budget spent, on the characters.
Right, for sure.
Plot.
I agree. I mean, the CGI is a little bit off. I could live with that. But I love the whole Mark and Steven relationship that was explored in this episode between the two. I love Stephen Grant, and I'm excited to get to know Mark even more in this next episode, for sure, because it's gonna be for sure from Mark's perspective. Gotta be. But I thought it was great, the whole mirror scenes and the whole conversations that they were having, getting to know each other and realizing for the first time, who each other is. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, there was definitely a ton unraveled, and initially I thought that it was too much, right? Because literally 10, 15 minutes into the episode, Stephen Grant is in his storage space, and he's pulling out everything. How does a dim-witted innocent man like Stephen Grant in a couple days find out near everything about Mark
Stephen
Spector,
Grant, I mean, he's not an idiot. Stephen Grant's he's shown he's a bright guy. He knows French, right? He's very wise when it comes to Egyptology and all of that kind of stuff.
Egyptology.
I
don't know how to say it.
It's Egyptology. It's Egyptology.
I don't know.
Whatever, Egyptology. Whatever. I'm not an archaeologist.
The archaeologist, it's not me.
Oh my goodness, I'm a comictologist.
Comictologist.
But What?
Is that a word?
What was the word?
Comictologist.
Comictologist. It's a word now.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, he's not, like I said, he's not dumb. Like he knows his stuff. So figuring this stuff out, and plus he had the key to a storage container. He knew where that was from. So I mean, it wasn't that hard to find.
He said, "This is my 5th place, my 5th branch."
He's like, "I recognize you. I do not forget face."
Which is mad sussy because he'd walk all the way down a dark hallway.
Why was it dark anyway?
Listen, if you wanted to, you could just murder him and put him in like one of the storage spaces.
I would be nervous.
I would have done that. If I was a murderer,
right.
Not now.
If you were a murderer,
if I was a murderer, that's what I would do. I would run it. I'd be like, "Oh, you want to come unlock the door for me, even though I have a key?"
Exactly,
idiot.
Like, why? Just tell him where it is.
Yeah, and plus he's seen him a ton times before. Guaranteed, Mark Spector's never asked for help opening that thing.
Oh no, definitely not. But then again, Stephen Grant, that's what I love about Stephen Grant. He's so innocent. That's
I
the word
love
use.
Stephen Grant
He's such
so
a
much.
kind soul. He loves, he's
he would never hurt anybody.
He would never hurt a fly, and that's what I love about Stephen Grant. But he's so funny too. And Mark, I'm excited to get to know Mark. That's my thing. Is right now we're just kind of like learning about him, and he's just kind of this mercenary, like American dude. I just want to get to know him. So in this 3rd episode, I'm sure they'll go more into that. But I did love the interactions between Stephen and Mark in the episode with the mirrors, the use of mirrors, and throughout the entire episode was really cool. And
it was amazing, especially the end.
Right.
But
right.
Dude, the more and more I saw of Mark, the more and more I felt like really sorry for him. Like he's like really a tormented soul. And,
for sure.
Showed that.
And at the end, and we'll talk about that here in a few minutes when we talk about Khonshu, but in the end, I definitely felt the sadness because we start to understand why he's doing this. Because, Stephen was getting all angry and yelling at him, Mark at the end because he felt Mark was the parasite. But in actuality, Stephen's the parasite.
Yeah.
And Mark's dealing with that.
Body.
Yeah. Mark's the one dealing with that and dealing with all this stuff he's got to do and his worries about his wife and his worries about life and the worries about what he's got to do in order to get what Khonshu wants. And it's super, super sad about. And I'm excited to get to explore Mark and his tortured life, I guess, as an English teacher would say.
No, for sure. I'm excited, dude.
I'm super excited. But we got to talk about one of my favorite parts of the episode individually, and that's when Stephen Grant becomes Mr. Knight.
That was hilarious.
I love that scene. At first, I was like, what? When he was falling and he landed?
When he fell and he went, I was like, dude, that's Stephen.
Right.
That's Stephen.
At first, I thought he was like a new personality. Like he changed into like the Mr. Knight personality, like from the comic books. But instead, I think they're changing it up. Like you said, and like they're going to keep it just between Mark and Stephen instead of adding more personalities. I think they're going to switch it up and make Stephen to where he's Mr. Knight. And like whenever Stephen he gets the costume on, he's Mr. Knight. And then whenever it's Mark, he turns into the Moon Knight, which is super cool to me at the same time.
So is there a difference in the level of power that Mark Spector's suit has versus Stephen Grant's
I feel like
suit?
the power of the suits are the same, but the ability of the users are different.
So then I guess my question is, why would Stephen Grant's suit be like the more like modernized, just like what he envisioned?
He envisioned, they said, put on the suit. And he was like, what? What kind of suit? He envisioned
he said suit.
A tuxedo suit. That's what he envisioned. So when he landed with it, he was like, you said a suit.
I thought that was fire though. Listen,
it looks
that
so
was
good.
drip.
It was drip. I'd wear it.
Drip. He had like the gloves, the mask, and like a tuxedo.
Halloween 2022.
Drip. We dressing up as Moon Knight.
Straight up. That was awesome though. But the part that was super hilarious, I was dying laughing during, was when he was fighting the Jackal as Mr. Knight. But he just kept. He's like, "Come on, all right, I'm doing this. I'm doing it. I don't need Mark. I can do it myself." It's so funny.
It freaking
like
rocked him,
dude.
too.
He did. He's like rock, and then he got laid out again.
He got laid out, but that was cool because like he interacts with Spector like in their reflection on the bus. He's like that was a good punch, and you start to see like the appreciation for Stephen Grant and like his courage to do that, rather than give the body up.
And you definitely see that Mark. He's very patient with Stephen, as I've seen.
I mean, like that's his body, like you said.
He's very patient.
Somebody else taking his body.
The fact that he's willing, we didn't mention this last episode, but the whole when he's postcards from Stephen Grant's mother and the voicemails with his mother. I mean, that's Mark that's sending those postcards to Stephen, not his actual mother. And
because he feels bad for him.
He feels bad for Stephen. He wants that Stephen had that closure. And then also, like you said, the voicemails, he's using that for like reconnaissance.
Probably, definitely for information.
Yeah, right, for information. But at the same time, it's also like a coping mechanism for Stephen Grant. So it's pretty cool to see that interaction and how, like, even with the goldfish, like Mark Spector went and got him a new goldfish. I don't know what happened to the goldfish.
That's the thing. What happened to it?
I don't know what happened to it. Unless
I know, it's weird thing about Mark Spector went and got him another one, but what happened to it? Like, surely that has to be. Think he ate
Khonshu
it?
for sure ate it. No, I don't
Maybe
know.
he did.
I don't know. He could have. He looks like type.
Do they eat?
I don't know what they eat. I don't
Different
know if
gods?
they eat.
I don't
He has a
know.
floating head. So.
That's weird. They gotta explain what happened to the fish.
They
got
got
it.
to happen to. They will. They will. But yeah, that's one thing. I mean, he's just always looking out for Stephen Grant, and I love how they went into that. But the whole Mr. Knight interaction, bringing in Mr. Knight, and showing that as it is Stephen, it's going to be Mr. Knight. I think that's pretty cool. At first, I was like, oh, I wanted to see the actual Mr. Knight from the Lights comics.
Yeah.
But now that we're getting to Stephen, I think it's really awesome. And I think by the end of this series, Stephen Grant will be the fan favorite. I really do.
I think he already is, Michael.
Yeah, I do.
But
Yeah.
I guess my question is, how will Stephen Grant be able to provide the resources to, Mark Spector and
Right.
Moon Knight as he doesn't even have a job? And the
Yeah.
job that he did have was in a gift shop, you know?
Right. I don't know. I
Like,
guess we'll
how's that
see that.
supposed to work?
Well, I mean, like you said right now, Mark needs the control right now. So he's kind of Steven's taking the back seat. So for the next, I don't know, maybe a couple episodes or so, we won't see Steven, or maybe he'll be in the reflections just like Mark was in this episode. So we'll see what happens with that. But still, at the same time, I thought that was great, that whole relationship that they're, touching on. So now we got to talk about Khonshu, because Khonshu had a pretty cool part to play. And for one thing, I will say is Khonshu's weird, but I love him for some reason.
Yeah,
like, I love him.
He's funny, but
He's
like
so funny.
scary at the same time.
Yeah, like when he's walking
He's
up the
like-
hallway, like his voice is what's not intimidating to me. Like his voice is like, it is intimidating, but it's like something you know it's like comedic.
See, it's his choice of words to
Yeah,
me that's comedic.
true.
He's like, you idiot, dummy. Like he almost to me seems like too modernized.
Right.
To be an Egyptian god, the kind of like slang he uses is
Right.
kind of like non-believable.
Or when Steven was like talking to Harrow and he was like, kick him, kill him,
Him and his windpipe.
take his windpipe, slit his throat. Like,
Is he telling you to kill
that
me?
was so funny. And the whole thing with like, Harrow and him, like, knowing that Khonshu is there. At first I was like, whoa, how does he know he's there talking to him? And then it explains later and I was like, okay, that
Yeah.
makes sense. So I wonder if the same things happen to him with his gods. I'm assuming, probably.
I would definitely assume so. But like,
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, and I'm predicting this for the show. I think Khonshu could very well be like the big bad.
Yeah.
Like actually, like in a surprise twist, you
I think
find
he will.
out. I fully believe Harrow when he said that like, he lies and
Right.
like the whole bondage or like the deal like thing like doesn't work out.
Right.
I think that eventually Moon Knight is gonna have to kill him. Obviously, he's gonna have to retain his powers, which he might not because Oscar Isaac only signed on just for this series.
Mhm.
Also, we'd love to see him do more.
Right.
But I think he's gonna have to beat him. I really do.
Yeah.
Because he's only doing this out of servitude, right? Because he saved him, he has to do this. So
Right.
it's not like he's doing this out of a love or appreciation for this guy. It's like, I have to.
Right.
So I don't know. I would like to see him like kind of square off.
I agree. Khonshu is definitely got to be the main villain, I think, of the show in total, because Khonshu's not a good guy. I mean, we may not see him necessarily be like the full-fledged big bad of the series in itself. I bet that'll be that one goddess. What's her name again?
Amit,
Ahmed.
the crocodile.
I bet that would be the main one. But I feel like Khonshu's definitely, not good. Because like
Yeah.
we learned Harrow was the avatar prior to
Yeah.
Mark Spector for Moon Knight, for Khonshu. So that was pretty cool to learn about. But then just seeing that relationship develop between Khonshu and then stuff and Mark
Yeah.
Spector and what he's doing to Mark Spector, because he's like threatening to take over Lila, his wife's body, if he gives up the
Which
power.
I thought was that's just weird. First,
I don't think it is, because Lila's proved that she can do some stuff, right? We see
like
her.
there's no other candidate.
I'm sure that,
Or
there's
is it just
billions
like
of people in the
he
world
knows that like
because he knows
she
it.
works side by side.
She knows it, and I guarantee he would take her. And plus, she has the ability. She knows the Egypt's knowledge,
Yeah.
Egyptologist stuff.
Egyptologist.
She knows all that stuff. She's smart. She's wise. And I feel like Mark is kind of a handicap because of Steven.
Yeah.
So that's why Khonshu, because he does not like Steven. That's clear.
Nah. But
No.
listen, he probably likes him a little bit after this one,
Yeah.
seeing all the crap that he did.
Still probably not though. But I don't see him to being the forgiving type, to be honest.
Hmm.
So we'll see what happens with the Khonshu relationship. But I
see.
agree. I think Mark will probably break away from him eventually.
I hope so. And
Yeah.
I hope we get to see Ahmed fleshed out too.
Yeah. Which I'm excited to see. Like, hopefully, we'll
Have
get
you
to
seen
see
all
Ahmed.
like the Ahmed references?
There's
Like the
so
whole
many,
like
yeah.
the latest gators, like he
Yeah.
says on the phone, obviously crocodile and gator.
Yeah.
But then like it was on Mark Spector's like flip phone too.
right? And his cane.
So
I mean,
I'm telling you, it's
and
coming.
then of course Harrow's cane, and Harrow's I don't know what you call it, his lair. I don't know.
I don't know what to
And
call it.
he had the alligators on the ceiling and everywhere. But yeah, I mean, we're definitely going to see that in the future of the episodes, which is really cool. So, but Lila, we got to meet Lila for the first time, which was pretty cool. I liked her, honestly. I'm
She's
not going to
pretty
lie.
dope.
She seems cool. and realistic at the same time, because the whole thing with Stephen Grant, it makes sense for her not believing that he's actually a different person than Mark Spector, because
like all she's known is Mark Spector.
Right.
The whole time she's like very sussy. Like, all right, Mark, funny accent.
Yeah.
Drop it. We're gonna die.
Yeah, we're gonna get a divorce.
We're gonna divorce. He's like, I would never divorce you.
I know, that was so funny.
That was so cool.
That was so funny, because it's like, you don't even know her. And he's like, he fell in love.
Bro, he did. That's what I think. Here's my prediction. I think that obviously Mark had those mental, those mental like issues before, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that one of those personalities, aka Stephen Grant, was based off of is it Layla?
Layla,
and her likes, because they had like the same like languages spoken. They had like the same like appreciation for art.
Think
so
definitely Stephen Grant is based off of her.
I think like they're the same.
Yeah, they're very similar, which makes a lot of sense. Like I think that's super cool.
Maybe which is why Stephen Grant and Mark Spector work well together.
Right. And I thought it was also super cool in this episode, to go back to Harrow, Arthur Harrow, is the fact of seeing his powers for the first time, like with the bringing up the jackals.
Just summon the jackal.
That was so cool. And only Stephen Grant and Mark Spector can see the jackal.
Yeah.
Only Moon Knight can see the jackal, so nobody else can. So.
Well, Layla could see it after she hit it.
Right.
With a bottle. But that part was mad sussy, because like Arthur Harrow for like 10 minutes is like the most loving guy. Oh, here's where we grow tomatoes and try my lens soup. He's like, don't give me the scarab, I'm gonna kill you.
Exactly.
Like, it was a really sudden switch that I wasn't expecting.
No,
I will say.
I know, I wasn't expecting that. And the fact that he gets all these people to join his cult and like super
it's
into
very
it.
weird.
It is very into it. It's weird. I don't know, but it's pretty cool. I like the whole cult aspect though. Like we've not seen that in a villain like in Marvel and stuff. So
I appreciate that. Cool. And they make you fall in love with Harris' character, too, you know?
Dude, yeah. He's
like,
awesome.
He's very charismatic.
Like he's one of those villains that like is a good villain that you like.
Yeah.
That's how he is, and I like it. And he's a great actor. Ethan Hawke's killing it as
dude,
well.
He's killing it, dude. Ethan Hawke's killing it.
That's pretty awesome. All right, and then the scarab, we find out what the scarab is used for, and that's to find the tomb of Ahmed, right? It guides you to the tomb of Ahmed, which is why, of course, Arthur Harrow and his cult wants it. So that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. We learned that part, and that's
they want to resurrect her because she, I guess, is it she, right?
Right.
She, like, takes out the evil before it happens, right?
Right. Which, the one thing I'm
like,
sensing here is kind of a little bit con for me, is the fact if they do resurrect Ahmed, it may be in this cool, awesome way, and, like, we'll see it. But I'm getting the original Suicide Squad vibes from Enchantress when she like becomes the elite thing that she does, and that was terrible.
Yeah,
to me,
that was not a good.
It was not a good plot. So I don't want them to go like that kind of routes, of course, and to make it like when Ahmed's resurrect, she's like this big power entity. Like
I'm wondering how they're gonna even like show a big crocodile god.
I don't know. Which who knows what they do.
CGI wise.
I just hope it does better than that, and it's better use of that stuff.
It has. It will be.
I know. I trust so far in the show because this show has had great 2 episodes. So I'm excited for what's next. We got 4 more episodes, so excited for that. All right, so the action as well was super great in this episode for me. I thought, of course, we didn't get a ton of it, but I think the next episode is going to play heavy. We're going to see more of Moon Knight next episode, which I'm excited about. But the action in the end of this episode was super cool at the same time with the whole invisible fight.
The invisible fight was cool.
It was cool.
Because it was all shot from Layla's perspective. Mm-hmm. So that was really funny, just seeing like Stephen Grant like swinging aimlessly
and struggling with nothing.
Yeah.
What's perceived to be nothing. That was super cool. And then the switch to him actually becoming Moon Knight. And I do like how they are playing on the more supernatural elements instead of the tech gadget elements of Moon Knight. I mean, they are showing him as a more supernatural light, and he has abilities. Like, he has super strength as shown, and he also has, like, the guiding above, but he only has these abilities with the suit. That's what I also find interesting. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I guess Spectre can summon it whenever, right?
Right.
I'll just keep that
Stephen Grant, I bet, can too. He just doesn't know how to full on do it.
He just said suit.
Yeah, and he's like, ooh, I'm Mr. Knight now.
I'm drippy.
Drippy. All right, so what do we think, Nathan, is next in the coming weeks? I mean, of course, we know that it's going to be Mark Spector's perspective. So what do you think is going to be next?
I think 3 will be a little backstory, Spectre, a little more action. Obviously, we've heard reports that episode 4 is going to be like a complete change in what we've perceived so far. So I think 4 will be a good balance, but I really think 3 will give us more backstory on Mark, because that's kind of what the whole episode build up was. It was Grant finding more information about Mark. So I think we're going to see it now from Mark's perspective, especially since episode 2 ended in Egypt, where Mark was stationed.
Right. I agree. I'm super excited. I think it's going to be fantastic in the coming weeks, and I'm super excited to see where this story goes. I hope it doesn't do the Disney Plus train doesn't follow the
I
Disney
know.
Plus train with the superhero
And
shows.
almost
and
every show has
decline.
done that, besides like WandaVision.
And decline because, I mean, of course, the third episode's kind of been a weaker point in a lot of the episodes. Not all of the shows, but a lot of the shows had a weaker point in the third episode and the fourth. And then, of course, the finale's been kind of off with the Disney Plus shows as well.
Yeah.
Hawkeye. Oh, yeah. They've been following that trend. So hopefully it picks back up and it just stays consistent. I really, really, really hope so. But we'll see in the future.
All right, guys. If you enjoyed this episode, let us know by giving us a review and a download. Check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Our most recent episode, the Morbius review, is out now. So go ahead.
Best movie
check
ever.
that out. Best movie ever. 350 billion tickets sold.
Oh,
I'm not even kidding.
Crazy.
So go check out that movie.
All right. Yes, we definitely would appreciate that. And we just want to thank you for listening. And as always, we love you 3000.